What's up, all you Blue Bomber fans out there? My name is Joe once again. We're back here with Infinity Gaming. I'm with the guys from Mega Man 2.5D, Peter, who was the main programmer, and Kat, who was the programmer slash tester. How you guys doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good so
Doing
far.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so, we bullshitted around, for at least half hour before this. But, where do you guys want to start? What do you guys want to... Where do you guys want to start with this? Do you guys want to start with when you guys decided to do this project, or where do you guys want to start?
I think I would like to hear Peter's view on how things started off. I think that's what I would like to see here. Go on.
Well, it started off as a concept video, really, back in '08, I think it was, or '09. Basically, I just got the idea to use 3D modeling software to basically recreate a couple of sprites using polygon cubes, and so I did. I ended up creating the Mega Man sprite, and when I had done that, I thought, well, that's kind of cool, but it would be even cooler if it did something. So I thought, I'll make a short little animation. So I ended up making a short animation of him running around, nothing fancy. But then it kind of escalated, and I ended up making kind of a complete concept video for a 2.5D style Mega Man game, like how it could, could look like, and then pretty much I just threw it out on YouTube, and a lot of people seem to like it. So it kind of snowballed from there. I was contacted by Edgar, who isn't with us today, but who's been the main programmer on the game, and we ended up teaming up to make a real playable game out of it, and that's pretty much the the story.
Okay, now let me ask you this though: why Mega Man? Why are you not? There's thousands of others. Castlevania, Metroid, AM2R came out last year. Why Mega Man? Why did you specifically set on the Blue Bomber? Not that I'm being like, why Mega Man, but I'm talking like, I mean, hell, I wear the shirt. I have 1 through 6 on my shelf. But why did you specifically choose Mega Man?
I mean, it was pretty much just pure chance, really, from the start, because all I was doing really was I was trying to think of a sprite to replicate, and I mean, I've always been a huge fan of the series. I grew up playing these games, so I mean, of course that factored into it, but I mean, it doesn't surprise me really that it ended up being Mega Man. But I think also the reason why we went ahead with making the actual game is that we knew even at the time that Capcom is one of the few companies that are usually okay with these kind of projects.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we're looking at something like Nintendo or Sega, I mean they've shut down some really great projects. So I mean that was a big part of it too. We felt pretty confident that we could do this without getting a cease and desist.
Mm-hmm. So okay, now Kat, I want to ask you though, like when did you start coming in on this series? When did you start coming in on the project?
I started getting into the project after they'd actually released 2 versions of the game. I originally saw Peter's videos, and especially his first one. I thought, oh, that's a neat little concept. It looks kind of fun. I then recall seeing the second one, and I was like, oh, cool, yeah, progressing with the concept. And when the second video showed the co-op, I was like, what?
Yeah, that's
Like it genuinely took me by surprise. I was like, wow, no, this is really cool. Because of all the times I played Mega Man, no co-op at all, ever, like in any kind of capacity. So when Peter showed that off, I thought it was a really neat concept. And I was wondering if there would ever be anything of it. Because I actually paid attention to the title, that it said it was just an animated concept. So I was like, oh, it's a neat concept. I'd love to see someone do something with it. So then I think it was about a year later or so that him and Edgar, they published Beta 1.0, and I was like, whoa, what? This is a thing? And it was just a co-op demo, and that was fine. That was great. I was so excited. I remember speaking to a bunch of friends and stuff saying, oh, if they make this, if this comes out, we have to get together and play. And so when it came out, we immediately, I think it was 2-3 days after 1.0 came out, I played with one of my flatmates. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Black Widow. And we literally just sat there and thought, fuck it, I'll record us playing, and we'll make a collage of us dying because we're terrible at Mega Man. And it was a great blast. It was super fun. And we actually encountered a couple of bugs, which helped Edgar, which we posted a video and I told him the steps I used to recreate it, which helped Edgar fix a problem back then. I didn't really join the team until Beta 2, when they released the version 2 of the beta, which added Snake Man to the game, along with single-player capability. And that was only because I was streaming at the time, and I'd encountered a number of bugs. And actually, I think it was Edgar that first popped in to the stream going, oh, hey, I'm part of the team. I was like, oh, crap, a developer's here. I didn't think I was going to get a developer in at all. And so when literally, unfortunately, not too long after that he showed up, I encountered a bug. He's like, oh, what did you do there? I was like, well, I did this. And the fact that I could sit there and reliably recreate what was happening, I think really helped him. And I remember 2-3 days after that live stream finished, I got this little email from someone named Peter. I was like, hang on a minute, I think I recognize that name. And they'd contacted me and said, oh no, it was on Facebook. And they contacted me and said, hey, Kat, you seem pretty good at finding bugs. Do you want to join the team and help us find more bugs? I was like, sure, fine. It was great. I was interested. Hell yeah.
Okay, now were you the same, you grew up playing Mega Man, or are you more like me? Well, my experience with Mega Man was I was laid off from work a couple of years back, and some guy was selling 1-6 on eBay. I've always heard of Mega Man, but then I, bought it. And
No, my exposure to Mega Man was actually quite late. Growing up, because I live over in the UK, I never, growing up, had access to an NES or SNES. So I never got to play them growing up, which was a shame. I ended up going through the Sonic series with the Mega Drive that I had access to, which is also a good series in itself.
That was my first game.
Exposure.
Mom bought
my first game was Marble Madness.
Mine was
my first exposure to the series was actually the Battle Network series on GBA. And that's just because a friend got me it saying, oh, hey, here's a neat little Mega Man game. And I thought, oh, Mega Man, well, I've seen animations and stuff. People love this series, and it looks like something I'd really love. And the Battle Network series was cool, but not the Mega Man that I'd seen everyone playing. So I was confused. I was like, this isn't the same thing. And so when ultimately Mega Man 9 came out on the Xbox, or the Xbox 360, sorry, Xbox 360, the same flatmate, Black Widow, he got me Mega Man 9. We sat there and played through it. I was like, no, this is the Mega Man everyone keeps playing. This is really fun. I think I game overed 7 times on Pogman stage before I even got to the boss.
Yeah.
And I was loving every moment of it. I was frustrated with it, but loving the frustration. It was done really, really well. I wish I hadn't started on Pugman. Probably not a good starting choice, but hey.
Yeah. Now, back to you, Peter. Obviously, like you said, you loved Mega Man growing up and all that. So then you guys finally sat back on, we're going to, make this Mega Man game. We're going to bring Kat in with it. What sort of challenges did you face, on the road to those 2 points?
I'm sorry, between what 2 points?
Between yes, we're gonna make this game and having Cat join. Like, what were the challenges? Like, have you guys made games before? And this goes with you too, Cat. Like, have you guys made games before, or was this like this was our first game? This is our first project.
No, it's this is our first game. Well, I've been playing around with making games before, using tools like Click and Play and the Games Factory and stuff like that, Multimedia Fusion. So I've been playing around with it a bit, but no, nothing too serious. So it was pretty new to us, and maybe that's good because if we knew what we were getting into, we might not have gone ahead with it. So yeah.
Is that the same with you, Cat? Like, was this your first game, or have you done like beta testing for other
Um,
games too?
I see. Now it's quite different for me. I have beta tested for a couple of games. Nothing large, and ultimately, all of the ones I can think of ultimately have ceased existing at this point or have fallen through and never released. But I have always sort of dabbled with creating game content stuff. The earliest example I can think of is there is the Nintendo franchise, the Phoenix Wright series,
Oh, yep.
and over on the Court Records forums, there have been a bunch of people that made case makers, so you could make your own Phoenix Wright stuff, which was something that really interested me. So I sat there and started learning these makers that these people had made to try and get a feel for it, dabble with it, learn a bit of experience in terms of making stuff. I even actually released one, which is short and crap, but it was there. That's the earliest example of sort of designing any games or anything like that I can think of. I had one or two sort of projects of my own, which I fiddled with, but ultimately never went really far with it. After that, the next example I can really think of would be I started trying with RPG Maker, I think it was 2003 at the time, making my own little RPG story thing, which worked out well because at the time, the person I was with romantically was actually moderately good with artistic work. So whilst I absolutely completely lack any kind of art skill, they were able to create some of the artwork that we needed, like the sprites and stuff like that. So I started piecing together a kind of interesting story for us. But ultimately, it just kind of fell through along with that relationship at some point.
Okay.
But I've dabbled here and there. I've never had any real project to release, so no. But I've certainly looked a lot at level design, game design. This was an element that worked. This was an element that didn't work. Oh, I like this. Oh, I didn't like that. I noticed little themes that repeatedly came up. And so I'd like to say, as a game designer, I probably have had the experience of, or the benefit of other people's experience by seeing by what they have put out and seeing what has worked and what hasn't.
Now, okay, so let's just go into the game design, because like Mega Man is one of those franchises that's infamous for being tough as nails, but also very fair. So how did you guys go about realizing, like, okay, we can't just, we can't have something jump out of this pit just to kill you and be a pricks? Like, was there a lot of challenge with that? Like learning how to develop a Mega Man game, or was it just like you guys went back and played through Mega Man games to learn about it? This is for both of you.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say it wasn't really so much about looking at the older games, really, because if you look at 2.5D, the cameras behaves pretty differently compared to the original games. So it's even though it's Mega Man, it's pretty different still in how you approach the design. And yeah, so it's more a matter of just really iteration on iteration, just trying stuff out and seeing what works, and just, yeah, pretty much. I think I mean, when it comes to level design, I've been doing stuff like that for a long time, actually. Even though I haven't made a game really before 2.5D, I've been making been making levels for stuff like Duke Nukem 3D and Doom, and that's like, I don't know, that's like going back to the mid 90s or something. So now, of course, that's first person, but so there's a difference. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, but mainly it's just been, you start somewhere, and you just refine it like a million times until you have something that's good, pretty much.
Okay. So like, we'll get. I want to get back to you, Kat, and like hear what you have to say. But I want to talk to you about like, you know how in Mega Man 1 you could only run gun, and then Mega Man 2, and well, yeah, Mega Man 1 and 2 were about the same. But then in Mega Man 3 you got the, you could slide, and then in Mega Man 4 you get the Mega Buster. Like, were you guys originally gonna focus more on the Mega Man 1 and 2 aspect where you could just run a gun, or did you want to incorporate the slide in the Mega Buster?
I wanted to include the slide for sure, because I mean, I really love that inclusion in Mega Man 3, and I loved Mega Man 9 and 10, but it did bother me that they took out the slide. Actually,
Yeah.
they're still some of my favorite games in the classic series, though, because I mean they are designed with not having a slide. So I mean it's good stuff. But I mean, I've always been a fan of the slide, and I especially love using it. I mean, in our single player mode, we sometimes switch the camera. I mean, we change the axis. So I just love using that in combination with the slide, where you like slide around the corner and the camera changes. But also it's useful because since we have the slide, we can also like slide through small gaps, and then you're unable to get back. So we're able to use that to our advantage to like block players from going back in certain spots, and that just helps with stuff like the camera behavior and things like that. So it's pretty useful in that sense.
Now, branching off from that, like, you know how in Mega Man 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, if you went too far back, enemies would respawn and stuff. Did you guys try and make an effort to incorporate that into the game, or is it just like, we're just going to make this like if you made it with this graphics with today's technology?
I know we discussed this, right? I think you were one of the ones who wanted to have the respawning enemies, I think. Cap.
I did mention it a couple of times because it was like, well, this is a staple feature of Mega Man that I think a lot of people are going to expect. And it was certainly a concern that I thought about ahead of time, because I joined in beta 2, so this is only when we had 2 stages. And I was even back then thinking of it like, when we get to Wily stages, there's going to be energy problems because you can't get energy from these enemies that aren't respawning. But ultimately we worked around that by making specific spots where enemies will spawn from, which was kind of I think that basically our kind of agreed middle grounds of, they won't always spawn, which means you can, with careful progression, inch your way forward. You're not stuck going, I can't get through this enemy. But then later it was like, hey, there's respawning, so you're not entirely stuck. I think that is how we basically came to a middle grounds, I think.
Yeah, I think so. The problem was with the respawning enemies that our camera is, like I said, it's pretty different from the original games. If you look especially at the co-op mode, the camera tends to zoom out quite a bit. So it can look pretty awkward when enemies just kind of like pop into existence. Yeah. it's difficult. That's like one of the big differences really between our game and the originals, I think. So I mean, in the end, yeah, we thought about just having them pretty much pop up out of nowhere. But at the end of the day, we chose this approach instead to have them be like, yeah, once you kill them, they're gone. And like Kat said, in the wily stages, we have places where, like, if you need energy, you can farm. So we have those kind of enemies that do respawn. So yeah, that's how we went about it.
Okay, Kat, back to you. Like, did you approach this when you were like testing it and stuff more as a 3D game or a 2D game then?
I looked at it as both. It's going to feel like a cop-out answer, but it was kind of how I was looking at it. I was thinking from a 2D perspective, as I'm playing through Peter's levels, I'm thinking, okay, I'm approaching it this way. Is there anything popping up at me? Things like that. But then I would think along the lines like, okay, so what's some of the cool things we can do from a 3D perspective? Like I like a lot of Peter's parts where he has things come up in the foreground, and a lot of times when I caught people like live streaming 2.5D, people are like, whoa, that's cool, which is really nice to see people appreciate that. And it played well that with the camera that we use, it being in a 3D environment, you can have your 2D stage benefit from a 3D camera, such as the downward segments. A number of them, we tilt the camera ever so slightly to help you peek down where you're going. So the player still feels like they know what they're getting into, even though when they get down there, it's still a flat screen. It's, it's a subtle thing I don't think a lot of people notice, which is good because it means it's executed well rather than it being very jarring. But the hard part wasn't really on my end for the 2D, 3D level design, because that was all Peter's stuff. There was a number of issues that did occur, and I thought to Peter, I put across to Peter, sorry, that, I think this is a problem in your 3D part. How can we make this work as if it's 2D? This is too large for a screen, if that makes sense. Like in terms of like the flatness of the 2D screen. This came up a couple of times, especially with the other person that I would do a lot of the co-op testing with, who doesn't live with me anymore. But he helped with identifying some potential issues because he actually had a bit of color blindness, which was why in Starman stage, where you have the gravity wells, like the blue upwards and the red down, for him, even though they were moderately vivid in color for a normal person with normal vision, he wasn't noticing where he was being affected, which is why on the edges of those segments, you actually notice a distinct tile difference, which Peter put in, which really helped at that point to differentiate this area is affecting you differently.
Okay, cool. Well, let's just get into co-op then. Like, Peter, what? Okay, you guys settled on making a Mega Man game. And that wasn't a challenge enough. Now you guys are like, we're going to put co-op in it. So, because we want to spread the pain. Never mind the fact that Mega Man players scream in anguish, in solo. Now we need to spread the pain. So what kind of sadistic mind did you have to have when you were like, we're going to put co-op in this?
Well, so the thing is, I mentioned I made that first animated concept, which kind of started the whole thing. And that concept was showing the 2.5D gameplay. And I mean that video, actually that first video, that wasn't the one that got like a really like big attention, because that's really the second video which I made, also an animated concept, but it's that video that showed off the co-op mode. And pretty much like the first video got a pretty good response. So I knew when I was making the second one that I had to try and make it better somehow, any way I could. And I don't know why I thought of co-op mode, but I'm glad I did. Because that's really what I think people responded to, more so than the 2.5D stuff. So I mean, I think we knew from the start that we had to do like these. We had to do both, like both the 2.5D stuff and the co-op stuff. I mean, when we saw the response to it, so I mean, we didn't have a choice really. But I can't remember at all like what gave me the idea for co-op. It may just have been that I think co-op was getting it was kind of coming back a bit around that time, maybe. I think with the release of Resident Evil 5 comes to mind. I think that was around that time. So I think it might have come from there, really.
So you've been working on this game since, well, you were working on this game since 2009, 2008, around that time, huh? Like,
yeah, I think '09 or maybe 2010, when we really got started. When I was contacted by Edgar, who wanted to help out.
so,
Yeah.
so what I'm saying is 7 to 8 years you spent making this 2.5D game.
Yeah, well, when you put it that way.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
like say like the original 1 through 6 were made in periods of 1 year.
I know.
No,
No,
no, no,
they
no, 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 no. I'm just
They have an advantage there, though, is that their team was actually local. They could work
Yeah.
together, and their main developer
Yeah.
wasn't sat there trying to survive, doing other stuff to survive.
There are many factors for sure, but like one big thing is that I mean this was a side project for us. I mean, you know how it is. Like you have your work, so I mean,
yeah.
you work full time, and then you come home from work, and it's like, well, I guess I'll try to like get an hour or two done on the game. So it takes ages that way.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much that. Then we had problems too during the development. I mean, I think there's a good reason why most of these projects don't get done.
Yeah.
Why they end up being cancelled. I'm surprised any game gets done really, because it's a lot of work for sure. I think even if you're working on them full time, it's a lot, you know, that goes into it. Even in our case, where of course it's an established property, so like it's not like we're really making it from scratch. We have all of the sprites and really most of the assets, but even then, it's just a lot of work that goes into it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So okay. So at what point in the 7 years did you guys just like? Well, I shouldn't say that. Like, when did you guys decide like what bosses you wanted to use? You know, because they're not all from 2. They're not all, you know. Like, I don't see any Electro Man in there.
No, it's. I mean, I wish we could say that like we had it planned from the start, but we didn't at all. We pretty much.
In reality, there's just like you got a wall of all the sprites. You just threw darts at whatever one hit it.
Yeah,
that one.
pretty much.
Oh, I guess it's
No,
Capcom
but you know,
right
I think that.
Snake Man, it is. Okay, let's go.
there.
I mean, in a way, I think that it would have been better, like if you plan it from the start. If you consider things like boss weaknesses, and not just that even, but really the entire game. But we didn't do that. We started with Shadow Man, you know, and honestly, I can't even remember why we started with that particular stage. But the thing is that, so we've been putting out beta releases of the game. And for a while there, in each release, we pretty much, well, we added two Robot Masters. and we pretty much just decided as we went. I mean, there were some things that we knew from the get-go, like, well, we don't like want to have more than one like shield type. Like, we don't want to have two that are like too much alike. And so there, I mean, we did have some kind of idea, and of course we know what our favorites are, like which one we really had to add to the game.
Mm-hmm.
And we also wanted to make sure that we didn't just use like from one or two games, but that we really tried to bring in robot masters from a couple of different games. So if you look at, like, we have Starman represented in our game, and it's probably not one of the most popular robot masters, but still, you know, we wanted to represent Mega Man 5, and
Yeah, that dartboard on your wall again. Starman it is.
yeah,
Let's go.
Starman it is.
Everybody hates
So
that. Everybody hates him. Who cares?
Yeah. No, but it's been tough though, trying to come up with a good lineup.
Okay, now.
But I'm pretty happy with the one we ended up with. Still, you know, even if it wasn't planned from the start, I think it
there
turned
was
out
some
pretty
planning to it, because I recall looking through the files of Beta 2 before I joined the team, and I know that from quite early on, Peter planned to put Quickman in, because he had very, very early level concepts, and there were some enemies programmed way back before he was even considered as a boss at the time.
I hate Quick.
So there was a bit of planning to the bosses.
Yeah.
And I know that in terms of going for Tornado Man, for example, Peter spoke to the team and he said, "I want to do an air stage." He started using Airman, but he started having level design issues. Like, I can't make a good Airman stage. Like, I don't want to make a bad Airman stage because Mega Man 2 is one loads of people remember. If Airman goes bad,
I'm just gonna say this: like, Airman stage is both great and yet complete shit at the same time. As someone who's working his way through the games, you know, like, it's shit. Like when you go to jump and for some reason it just doesn't spawn. You're just like, oh great, thanks.
Yeah.
NES programming at its best, but go on.
So that was a problem that Peter had there, and I'm pretty sure I would like to take the credit here. That it was when I turned to Peter and said, "Well, make Tornado Man instead." So yeah, like, even in our early version files, one of the actual file name for it was actually Airman instead of Tornado Man for a while. And then when I introduced him to say, you know, try Tornado Man, and he started taking a look at some of the gimmicks that were in Tornado Man's stage in Mega Man 9. He actually liked the magnet beams, and he thought, oh, I can actually do more vertically with this air stage, and I think that helped him out there. Splash Woman, I think, was chosen partially because of her weapon, but also it meant that fans would be a bit more lax in terms of appreciating a water level. It let him have a bit more freedom rather than just straight up going, it's Toadman stage. There we go, it's Toadman stage in 3D. Have fun, guys. It let him mix and match a bit more in terms of the level design. So you can see elements of like Centaur Man, Bubble Man. You know, he's taken elements from each of them, put them together very well. And so I think just some of the robot choices allowed a bit more freedom, or because of the tool set they provided. It would have been better if we did plan the weapons a bit more ahead of time. But I just don't think that was the thought process at the time. I think when it came to Beta 2 happening, going towards Beta 3, it was like, well, what theme of level do we fancy doing? I think was Peter's approach. And so when he started thinking of theme, he thought of an appropriate boss instead. And that was kind of the roadmap, I think, is how that happened.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, Kat, when you were testing the games and he actually gave you, like, okay, here's these stages, did you take a step back and be like, well, geez, Peter, you could have made a, like, you know, how in Mega Man 1 and 2, you have, you know, there's that whole, like, you know, you get Bombs Man, then you go to Guts Man, then you go to Cuts Man, you know, and looking at the stage, it doesn't look like that, so here, like, were you like, geez, Peter, you could have given me something here, you know, like... First off, you make this game that's just a hodgepodge of every Mega Man game, and now there's not even a key way to do this.
There's actually two key ways to start. It depends on how you want to go about it. Because if you want to make yourself an easier start, I would say Quickman is the easier boss to fight. And I would, Splash Room is the easier boss to fight, but Quickman is the easier stage to fight. Both of them are actually weak to the Mega Buster.
Okay, so you guys did that. Now, going back to you, Peter, was there a lot of that? Like, you made certain enemies weaker to other boss, robot masters like abilities, so it made it kind of like a traditional Mega Man game when you just were cherry picking, throwing the darts at the wall.
Yeah, always the darts. No, we've been working a lot with the weaknesses actually.
Okay.
I think at the first it was kind of just thrown in there without any thought. But I think actually Kat was one of the ones who pushed a lot for really, really working with them. And I think it's good that it did. It's just one of those things that it got kind of like left behind for a while. Because we were working on other stuff pretty much. But we've been working on it a lot since. And I'm not sure what to say about it really, but
okay, so like here's my we'll start winding down here on the whole development, but like when you guys were sitting there like developing this game, was there any point where you guys like Capcom could issue a takedown notice anytime? Were you guys contacted by Capcom, or was that lingering fear over your head?
Lingering fear for sure. Definitely thought about it. I think that'd be fair to say. But as far as I know, we've not had any kind of contact at all. And that was despite some fans actually even posting on the official Capcom forum saying, "Hey, here's a fan game happening." It's like, because that happened, I think it was Beta 2, Beta 3. And I know, I recall thinking around that time, it's like, well, if we're going to get the C&D, now's about the time. I think that's accurate.
Yeah, it was featured at some point on the official Capcom blog, I think. So, I mean, someone there was at least aware of it existing. I don't know, I mean... we always knew that. I mean, if they want to, they can cease and desist us. I mean, they still can if they want to.
It's kind of pointless now, though.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to stop us from releasing more updates, but that's about it. But I mean, it's always there in the back of your head. I think, especially when you've been working on something like this for so many years, and then you see stuff like, I don't know if you guys are aware of the Streets of Rage fan project. I can't remember the exact name of it. It may be Streets of Rage.
It was literally Beats of Rage, I think it was.
No, I don't think so. The Streets of Rage remake.
Oh, the remake one, right? Sorry. There's another fan one where it's like literally Streets of Rage 1 to 3. And you can take it on the go, like you can get it on your PSP and stuff.
Oh, okay, no, this isn't it that, but it's like a really ambitious fan game. It's one of the best in my opinion of the ones that I've played. But anyway, so this guy or these guys were working on it for 8 years.
Ooh.
8 years, and they released it. And I think on that same day, cease and desist. Had to take it down. Had to take it all down. I mean, by then, of course, it's too late. I mean, if people want to find it, it's already floating around out there.
Just like AM2 just like AM2
or Pokemon Uranium.
Yeah. I mean, that's another good example. Another Metroid 2 remake.
Way to stay on top of things.
That guy worked on. What did
he it was up for like 2 days before they had the cease and desist. Yeah. I mean, way to stay on top of things, guys. Good job.
Yeah, and I mean that guy, he'd been working on that for I think over 10 years.
That would kill me.
So I mean, when you see stuff like that, yeah, it doesn't feel great. But at the same time, we knew that. I mean, Capcom it's very unusual. I think they may have shut down a project or two in the past, but I think that those were projects that were profiting off of it. I think they may have had like been accepting donations and stuff like that. So I think they're a bit harsher when it comes to stuff like that.
Or they just
So,
don't
I
care
mean,
about Mega Man. I mean,
that could be.
Mega
That
Man
could be.
Universe, Mega Man Battle Network, or Mega Man Legends 3, and then Mega Man, what was Maverick Hunter when the FPS like slash Metroid Prime one
Yeah.
all canceled within like 2 years. I was just like, oh, great guys, thanks.
Yeah, that's a lot of cancellations. No, so we've been kind of it's always been in the back of our head, and even when we released the thing, it was kind of like, oh, are we gonna take it down? Even
Yeah.
I mean, it's been public for all this time, but still we kind of thought that, yeah, maybe maybe we'll get that cease and desist now.
I remember
But
thinking that as we were getting ready to literally like actually upload it and release it, and I was thinking, whilst I was watching Peter's video trailer, I was like, oh no, I bet you now finally like it's gonna suck,
Yeah.
like all that work on that trailer because it looks really cool, and I was like, is it gonna be the first day or the second day? For those 2 days, I was like, day one or day two, day one or day two,
Like,
and then we got
yeah.
to day three, I was like, he did
you
nothing.
kind of
I was
have
like,
this
not
picture
yet.
in your mind of like a Capcom employee like sitting with his finger like on the button,
Like, just
and, like,
ready to hit
oh,
the
this
mouse.
is it. The day is here, and just delete
It
it.
just sits there. It just
Send
sits
it,
there.
send it.
Yeah, wait.
They have like the letter written up and everything, and
Yeah.
just they've had it just like the announcement in like 2010 or something, and just now here's the
Let them think they're safe, then we'll fuck their shit
Yeah.
up.
yeah. No, but luckily we haven't heard anything from them.
Yeah.
So
I mean, okay, but like, were you? I mean, yeah. Yeah, you guys released what earlier this year, wasn't it? Like, to be 100% honest, yeah, I'm going by like streamers and stuff because for some reason my PC will not let me download that file, so it kind of sucks. But I've enjoyed like what I've seen on stream. It's like, oh man, I wish I could play it, But
Well, after this, I'll sure as hell help you make it
okay,
work.
cool, thanks. Cause I mean, like, last week Mega Man Maker was released, Mega Maker.
I've been having tons of fun with it.
I'm gonna go like just same I did with Mario Maker. I just play the levels. I don't try to make crap. I'm horrible, but then before you guys there was the biggest one, which was Mega Man Unlimited. Were you guys like inspired by this? Like like, oh my god, they did this, we can do this. Like when you guys obviously I know they say like in development, you have your peaks and your valleys when you're like, oh man, this kind of sucks, but was that like one of the things that kept making you go through it was like, oh yeah, we got Mega Man,
Well, I don't know really. I think
I would have to say, at least for me, Mega Man Unlimited didn't impact me at all.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting to know it was there, but it didn't change my mindset on anything. It literally wasn't even until after we released 2.5D that I even actually played Unlimited, if I'm honest.
Oh, okay.
It didn't really affect us much, I think, because they're so different in a way. I mean, it's both Mega Man, of course, but just like I said, like how we handle the camera and everything, they're
Completely
just
different.
really different. I can't say that we were too like affected but of course it was a lot of fun to see like the positive response to that game, and just like seeing how big a demand there is for even for fan-made Mega Man games. So I mean, in that sense, it was still really cool to see. So I mean, in that sense, it motivated us for sure to go on with the game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now, when you guys were finished with the game, you remember how there was that Mega Man Cross Street Fighter game that was a fan-made game, but then Capcom brought it in, how like publicly released it. Were you guys hoping for something like that, or were you like, was that like your pie in the sky, like, oh my god, if that happens, we'd be like dancing in the streets?
I mean, that would have been awesome for sure.
Yeah,
I
it'd have been
don't
awesome.
think, yeah, I don't think we were ever counting on it to happen. But I mean, it would be really cool to have them kind of endorse it that way. And I mean, to be able to put it out as an official game and especially on make it available on other platforms like PS4, Xbox One, Switch even. I mean, that would be really cool. Just give more people the chance to play it.
Yeah.
Because
because me, I'm a console guy. I would love to have this on my Switch or something because, like, I'm used to. It's probably the reason why I can't get it to work on my PC. Like, I use this for podcasts and stuff. But like, I suck at. I have friends who can literally hop on my computer and do shit that I've never even thought could happen. Well, I'm just sitting here like, I can open Word with one button.
Yeah.
Take that in your juice box and suck it.
I don't think
it would have been cool though. But I'm pretty much just glad that they haven't sent that letter yet. So the cease and desist.
I think it was at least for me, more on the other side as well. I was more worried about a cease and desist rather than maybe they'll endorse it. I don't think I ever thought that would be a thing, especially just because of how. I think it's just more the fact of how different 2.5D is to all the others. It's too jarring of a difference, I think, in my head, was why I thought it's too far away from what they normally do, as so they wouldn't endorse it, I would imagine. Whereas the Street Fighter Mega Man crossover, it emulates Mega Man at least well enough. So it's much more faithful to the original IP, which is why I thought they had figured to approach them. Whereas I never thought it'd be on the ball at all for 2.5D, I don't think.
Yeah. No, and in that sense, I mean, for example, Mega Man Unlimited would be like a really good candidate if they wanted to do something like that. But
Capcom's finicky with Mega Man.
But I gotta say, like on this topic, it's really cool what Sega has done. I think with Sonic Mania.
Oh yeah. But Sonic had a bad history in the past for being pricks. So I feel like this is just like, oh, we're sorry here.
Well, arguably Capcom could do the same thing.
Yeah, true, and we can do it. I mean, look at Nintendo. We talked about that before, but before we wrap up, is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Like anything we didn't touch on about the development, your favorite moments, favorite stories, anything like that? Because I want to get in towards the end here to talk about where you guys think the Mega Man future, the future of Mega Man is. As we're three fans of the Mega Man series and shit. I want to see where do you guys think this game will go or the franchise can go. I mean, it's getting an animated series, but anything else on the development before we get into that?
I mean, I know some goofy stuff development-wise that happened, which was entertaining, but we couldn't have left in the final game. During development, whilst we started working on the Wily stages, as a testing field, they decided to put the Mecha Dragon at the start of Shadow Man stage. That was quite entertaining to suddenly find out. I was like, oh, I'll go through the levels, make sure the levels are working fine. Suddenly, Mecha Dragon in my face. It was quite entertaining that it actually worked in the Shadow Man stage. The funny part was trying to go through the stage with the terrain falling from underneath you. That was fun. That was actually kind of fun to just... It was more like a survival kind of challenge. But if you went too quickly and the dragon went off screen, he'd respawn in front of you and just destroy you. I actually managed to get as far as the lava raft. But then, because I'm on the lava raft, he kills the lava raft and I'm immediately dead. So I couldn't get to the boss and say, "Ha-ha, I survived." But that was an amusing part of development. I'd have to say that was quite entertaining.
Sounds like it would be. Why don't you just leave it in there, Peter? I mean, that could have been an amazing thing.
We'll bring it back in the next update. I promise.
Once again, fuck someone shit up.
Yeah,
I beat Shadow Man like 1,000 times. Oh my god, Mega Dragon!
Yeah. Well,
one other
we'll
thing.
bring it back. We'll bring it back.
One other thing development-wise that we do lament not being able to focus more on is getting an online feature to play the co-op stuff. That is something we still want to try and get done. We approached some people in regards to that. They started, and then we heard nothing about it. I can only assume it's basically not happening at this point. Edgar, at the very least, is still determined to try and get something done, so he wants to take a look at it still. So it is still something definitely on the dream path. It's just something we didn't get to do with at least the first two releases of the game. It just wasn't possible at all for us. Another fun on a funny side again. Whilst we've been working on the upcoming 1.0.2, there was an entertaining pause glitch which returned to the game. So back in beta 2 when I joined, you could pause the game, and then if you went into another menu but went to go out of it with your escape button, it would resume the game and you could run around with the pause menu up. Entertainingly, this came back in a bit more of a sillier fashion, where you could pause the game mid-slide, and you would keep sliding and go through, like, just through the sky, everything else. So the game was half paused, but every character would still move. That was a funny time. I had entertaining times speed running through Time Man stage, air dashing. That was quite fun.
Well, Peter, anything else you want to talk about, or?
Nah, I mean nothing really that comes to mind. I mean, I think we've covered a lot of it really. So
What about the co-op boss that you planned before?
I'm not sure what
The
you're.
intro stage boss? Do you know any of the intro stage
yeah,
boss?
yeah. I can mention that we originally wanted to have a kind of an intro stage to the game, mimicking how the X games function, where we have like an introduction stage that pretty much like this is how you play the game. A type stage. In the end, we ended up scrapping it because we had about like a million other things to do, and also I personally didn't really like the idea of forcing players to like you're always gonna start off with this stage. I like that aspect of the original, so just like no, here's your selection, and like you can go anywhere you want from the get-go. Like I think the kind of like introductionary stage is a better fit for the X games because partly because they're more story driven a little bit anyway. So
and they're like radically different from. It's pretty easy to go just understand, run, jump, shoot.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of mechanics, they're more advanced as well. So there's that. So in the end, we ended up scrapping it, and I think it was the right call actually. If you want to, you can go through like some old videos up on our YouTube channel, and you'll see like short parts of that stage. It's pretty rough, but yeah, it's there.